Emily Armstrong has unfollowed Danny Masterson. What does that mean? And did you know that Tom Cruise disconnected from a billionaire? Hey, everybody, welcome. I'm Natalie, and this is Scientology Life After a Cult. We are going to get into more Emily Armstrong news, but I'm going to tell you my honest thoughts on this later on in the video, and some of you might not like it, and that is okay. We're going to get to that, but before we do, hello to everybody in the chat. Good morning there to the members. Thank you for being here, and a big thank you to the moderators for helping to keep the wheels on the bus as we just go flying along here doing a Scientology cult news update. All right, so let's kick it off with a little bit of Scientology propaganda because Scientology is doing some webinars. Are we driving them off the streets and onto the internet? This is actually a webinar for not something for new people to Scientology, but let's take a look at it so you just know what they're up to. What are they focusing on? This is an OT hatting webinar, and I'm going to translate that for you. That means operating Thetan hatting. That means they're going to train you or show you how to be an operating Thetan with OT powers and what you need to do to get those powers. And what it really means is they're going to ask you for or demand more accurately, a ton of money, or they're going to try to recruit you for staff or the Sea Org. This is, I think this is a Freewinds event, but it's a webinar. This thing's happening on the 21st of September. And this dude, Patrick Valton, he is a new operating Thetan level 8. And L's completion, that's just some Scientology stuff done that they charge so much money for. It's ridiculous. And it's delivered in Florida at the Flagland base. He's done superpower. So you know that big empty building, speaking of Clearwater, in Clearwater, that's connected to the Fort Harrison Hotel. That means he ran around the pole. He ran around the pole in there, which is part of getting your superpowers. He is a cause resurgence completion, an OT ambassador, and an elite FSM. What does that mean, you ask? Well, let me tell you. An FSM is a field staff member. That is a Scientologist who gets money, makes a commission on getting other people into Scientology or onto their next Scientology service. If I remember, it's what, 10, 15%, I think is your cut that you get. And the real powerful field staff members, they're not making their money getting new people in. Because if you get somebody new in and they're like, I'll take 5 hours of Dynetics auditing for $65. Well, that field staff member is going to get like $6 or something like that. No, my friends. The big money is in the Scientologist doing the upper levels. So if he's an elite field staff member, he's probably making that big money on Scientology, on the higher end of Scientology's bridge to total freedom. Yes, he is making that extra money there. That's how they get paid when you are not a Scientology staff member. It's called a field staff member, and they actually make way more money than Scientology staff members or Sea Org members because there's no limit. They get a straight like 10%. Boom. Once a person starts the service, you get paid. So let's, Fat Grammy says, so basically this is an MLM webinar. Probably. Hey, Itchy Thetans, welcome. Everybody coming over from Maryland's, welcome. Walk right in an orderly fashion and show that like button, a little aloha, and subscribe as well. I would appreciate that. Okay, let's talk about a little bit of Elizabeth Moss news. Elizabeth Moss, still a Scientologist. I am still holding out for her leaving. I'm not giving up. I don't care what any of you say. She is filming the final season of The Handmaid's Tale. If you are not familiar, you can catch it. It looks like, which will stream on Hulu in spring of 2025. So that will be the last season of the Handmaid's Tale. I fell off after about season 3. Honestly, I don't know what the deal was. I think I just got tired of, like, I like post-apocalyptic movies and stuff like that and shows. I don't know, there was just something about this one after a couple rounds. I was like, "I need a break from this." Honestly, I found it to be a little triggering. It's so culty. It's great, and it's based off of the book by Margaret Atwood. I think I got that right. Just so it I don't know. What do you guys think? Are you guys staying up on that? Have you stayed up on it? Anybody as triggered as me by the show? And I'd actually stopped watching it, but I wanna go back. I wanna go back and watch because now they're filming the last season, and I wanna see what, little Lizzie Moss is up to. I'm telling you, I'm still holding out that she will one day leave Scientology, like many. But that's what I know about that. I'm gonna start getting caught up on that so I can see it. Some of you have never seen it. Nancy, you've never seen it? Yes. You gotta add it to your watch list. That crazy Canuck triggered, yes, but still love it. Yeah, isn't that the way? Things that trigger us, we still love it. I feel that way about spooky movies and suspense. Totally triggers me, but I love it. But not horror. I'm kind of really moving away from the gore. Lexi says I refuse to watch it because of the cult connection. Totally get that. I totally get that. Okay, let's move on from her and talk about, you guys know that if you go to Scientology.SPACE and you go to resources, you can find the page that has an entire list where you can search for your elected official. And there's even a form letter where you can send it to them or make it your own and say, hey, where are you at on looking into Scientology's tax exempt status? Well, there are some responses that are starting to come in from this. And we're going to take a look at a couple of them because we've not really talked about this. This one is from Brian Roberts. Let's see. So the response, yes. Okay, well, here's the question. I'm reaching out to get a confirmation on whether you would be open to having congressional hearings on Scientology's tax exempt status. There have been protests across the nation due to human trafficking and other abuses of the cult. And this elected official says, yes, I am concerned about some of the behaviors the Church of Scientology exhibits. Yes, so that's a good thing. And let's see, there's a couple more I wanted to share with you guys so you know that responses are coming in. And if you follow the instructions on the website, you can send your response to, there's an email address listed on there, send it there so they can keep track. Here is one, let's see. So this was to Randy Cravens on Scientology's tax exempt. There's the letter. Here's the response. A one-word answer, yes. To expand further, if you'll indulge me. I believe it's time to revisit enforcement of the guidelines for the tax exempt status of churches writ large. There are far too many plain and obvious examples of electioneering from the pulpit across the country. Those activities fly in the face of the intent of the federal government's exemption of churches from taxation as apolitical institutions. Further, the subjects of allegations of inappropriate behavior and harassing communication with minor children by clergy and lay employees of all faiths, Scientology included, cannot shield themselves behind the walls of a church. Our system of justice can and should apply equally to all members of our society, and our children should be protected without exemption. There's no religious exemption for harming a child. Thanks so much for reaching out with your question. Please don't hesitate to let me know if there are any further issues which I can address for you in the future. With best regards, Randy Cravens. You can see all of these because you go on there and you just click on the letter. Go ahead and play with it, you guys, because when you see this, you might be surprised at how many actual responses there are now. Let's see, here's one. I will support congressional hearings into the tax exempt status of Scientology. I hope I'm able to meet with you at one of the many upcoming Club for Swan for Congress events in the next 3 months. Best regards, Alan Swan. Could be Swain, but let's go with Swan. And he's running for the House of Representatives. So there are a bunch of them on there. If you guys have a chance, go ahead and check them out. And by all means, if you could also find out who your elected officials are, even if it already shows there's been a response, numerous people coming forward and asking for this would also make an impact. So please Just because there's a response, don't not reach out if that person is in your district, in your area. SPTV.SPACE lays it all out for you, and be sure to CC the email address mentioned there in the directions, because then they can track it and we can know where people stand and what's up. What's up? Karen, yes. Wow, that's a great response. Not just a form letter. I agree. And there's some really good ones in there. And a lot of them are saying, oh, yeah, I would look into this. Oh, yeah, I would support this. So please keep doing this. Go to SPTV.SPACE and search for it under resources and find who your elected officials are and follow the directions in there. All right, now let's go over to Tori Magoo 44, who did a really fun video with Mark Bunker. Let's see here. And it's interesting because Tori makes a good point about the changing public perception. I feel like I'm going to sneeze. False alarm. Tori makes a good point about the changing public perception of Scientology. Give this a little listen.
There's a big restaurant down there now, and a lot of tourists go there. And then they come walking down to get a kind of a photograph underneath the Scientology sign, but they don't want to admit that. And I said, I saw it. And I say, do you want a photograph underneath the sign? And they kind of go, no. And I go, oh, come on. It's really a great shot.
We've seen Tori out there right outside the Scientology sign, live streaming Scientology, just totally in their face. And she's right. People come up and it's this little tourist attraction.
Go sit by the flowers. Now take it. Give me your camera. And so I sit there and I take these pictures, and then I tell them if they live in, like one couple was in Canada, and I said, you're not Scientologists, right? And they go, oh, God, no. And I said, so when you go home, if you can, post this in your local paper and put Xenu.net next to it, because that has all the stuff Scientology doesn't want anybody to know.
I love Tori's little crown there. Somebody sent that to her and she put it on during the stream. I love it.
It's funny, though. It's funny to hear people. I go, are you a Scientologist? They go, no. You know, whereas in the old days, they'd go, no, but they're a religion. They have a right to have it. Not anymore.
That's right. Not anymore. Public, I mean, people just really are not shying away from, oh my God, yeah, that's totally a cult. That's totally, in fact, we were just talking about it at breakfast. It's totally a cult. They know. They know Scientology. They know. Let's go over now to, where are we? Chicago. Windy City Satan Watch was out there, and oh, he got into it. Let's look at a few clips here. First one we can see, he's at this event where there is Scientology with their Dianetics table, their Dianetics shirts, and their Dianetics books. He's trying to sell some books, move some movie tickets, you know, come in and see that Dianetics film. And Windy City Satan Watch was there to let them know what was up and educate the public in general on the fact that Scientology is a human trafficking cult and Dianetics is Scientology.
People. And again, I have not approached anybody. If you look on my video, you want to look at the live stream, look at the live stream.
Now, this is an event coordinator giving him heat because, as you know, Scientology goes running. They just go running to the event coordinators and go, he's picking on us. It's offensive. He's saying things. He's calling us a cult. Oh, my God. How does he know? And sometimes the event coordinators, they buy it, right? They don't know. Especially in the Midwest, outside of California or Florida, where Scientology is more known that it's a cult. This is why we're seeing, and we're going to see much more of these orgs headed to an event near you to go ahead and try and sell their wares.
Will show that people approach me asking me about the problems of this church.
Okay. So what you're saying to me right now is that you are not going to approach anybody.
I agree.
Right?
I will not do what you just did. I understand what you just tried to do there.
Yeah, what's with the big step forward and getting up in his face there? I'm like, take a step back, bro.
I know, because you're videoing me, and it's. I think it's rude. I'm letting you do it, but I think it's rude.
You're not letting me doing it. It's my right to do it. Period, point blank, end of discussion.
Fair enough.
And why did you approach me? Why did you just approach me? Why are you closing space? Why are you closing space? Is that right?
Because this is their event.
Doesn't matter if it's their event. It's a public, yes. And
that's right. It is not their event. They're just there with a booth.
Who am I?
What if I
am the public.
Give me 1 sec. If I asked you to not film me, would you turn your camera off?
No, I would not.
Great. So that's why I'm approaching you here now, right? Because I don't appreciate.
Are you in public?
I am, and I said you have a right to film.
Yes.
Okay, we agree on that.
And you asked.
It's kind of a conversation that goes in a little bit of circles, but Wendy makes a point. He's out there, he gets to film. I know you don't like it. A lot of people might not, but he still gets to do it. I mean, you could go back and forth all day, but really the real problem here is that Scientology is there recruiting people for their cult and trying to hide behind, at these events that they go to, painting themselves as the victim. Welcome everybody coming over from Eric Raiders. Thank you for being here. Just in an orderly fashion, go over and hit that like button, show it some aloha, and do not forget to subscribe. Find a seat or stand. Thank you for being here. Let's have some fun. Okay, so let's take a look at this too. Windy City, he was like really on fire there. We got a couple things to look at. There's a woman he saved from the personality test, which could be saving her from Scientology.
The way that's Scientology, it's a human trafficking cult. Yep. You want to know the victim's name? I'll give you the victim's names. Look up Serge Del Mar. Look up Lisa McPherson. Real proper names. You can look it up on the internet. You'll be able to find the story.
Look at that girl too. She's totally listening. She's doing everything but writing it down. And dude on the e-meter is just like, oh man, he brought up Lisa McPherson. It is over for us here.
They're court cases. These aren't stories. These are court cases. Do not give them your real name and number.
Yes, sir. Take your cans back, sir. Take your cans back. She even thanks Wendy for letting her know and educating her that that is the cult of Scientology. And dude over here is just trying to get somebody else to sit down in his chair and hold his cans. And Windy City Satan Watch is there, and it's just not happening.
I just want to be off their property. So if those are just some of the proper noun names of the victims of their cult, these are their silly beliefs.
Yep. So glad that he's there. And it works. It's that one-on-one showing up with her recruiting. I mean, you're really stopping people from getting into Scientology. Think about how many people got into Scientology, just that one-on-one, walking by Scientology. We heard from Leo Perez, who's an ex-Sea Org member that was on Growing Up in Scientology some weeks ago. And he shared that he was recruited into Scientology at the Hollywood Testing Center. And from there, barely a Scientologist, really wet behind the ears, gets put into the Sea Organization after being manipulated into believing he was a Sea Org member in a past life. So a lot of this people starts out there on the streets. So when people are there live streaming and educating about Scientology, it really does make a difference. Watch this one.
Miss, it's Scientology. Be very careful. Don't give them your name or address. They're involved in human trafficking. They're involved in child abuse.
And she too was able to move away. I'm telling you, he was on fire. They got to go to markets and farmers markets and events like this because it's just not happening outside their own buildings. But now live streamers and protesters are showing up at these events as well.
What do you hope to accomplish?
I just don't want people to enter. So I know people that have left this, and it's that one person entered, and then he told his brother, and then that person became a recruiter. So if I can prevent people from joining and understanding what's going on here, that's all I can really do. Eventually, they're going to die from starvation, right?
Well, or whatever, right?
We need to revoke their tax-free status because they have a war chest that's ridiculous.
Kidding.
No.
And who was the president that let that happen?
Yeah.
Look at the guy taking the picture in the background. Like, what's happening there? Is it as a joke? Like, what's going on?
You should. Have you ever heard what David Miscavige did? What they did to the IRS agents? It's called fair gaming, right? But they basically co-opted all of them,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. Now, we watched the Leah show, and I think there's another one out now too, isn't there?
There's Going Clear, which Going Clear is, a lot of people will tell you that's a better themed.
Great conversation. He's letting them know what's up, even about the e-meter. And did you guys know about the sticker on the back of the e-meter? Listen to this.
So that's a fake e-meter They try to get people to believe it's a medical device, but the FDA makes them put a sticker on the back that says this doesn't work as a medical device. It's a religious artifact. There's a sticker that says this can only be used as a religious artifact. And the only reason I'm out here is I just don't like the crimes of Scientology. I don't like the idea that they endorse human trafficking and that they endorse child abuse. So that's a fake
religious artifact. Yep. Cannot heal, cannot really do anything. I'm so glad that he's out there and everybody else who joins there in Chicago, live streaming and exposing Scientology. Thank you guys for continuing to do that. And remember, if you see something, say something. You can send me your own clips too if you're a live streamer creator. Natalie at lifeafteraccult.com. Articles, links, tell me what I'm looking at, send a clip. I would absolutely appreciate it. Let's go take a look now at London, Oregon. We got a little crossover. T, whose Perth Scientology audit went to London. And guess what? If you've been following her channel, you might have seen in Melbourne, did I say it right, my Australian friends? Melbourne. They did this big protest together, and Miriam Francis was there, and Ree was there, and a bunch of other people, and T. And but here she is over in London, and she goes into Scientology and records part of it, and we get to look at it. So let's take a look at a clip. This again is from T Perth Scientology audit, who goes into London Scientology.
I asked the lady downstairs if you do anything like to help autism. My son's autistic, so with learning and stuff. Like, yeah. She said, I think she said to
I'll
ask
show
you.
you something.
Yeah.
I mean, this definitely for the mind and things that you can help with that. But let me get you some.
Well, I hope I can try something, but I don't know if to say like that. This is the e-meter.
We have a series of learning courses.
Oh,
learning how to learn,
yeah.
which brings it down basic, but also how you can.
Now, I don't know if you guys heard what she was saying, but she was basically saying, hey, my son has autism. Is there something that could help him? And what does girl do? Woman, lady, Scientology lady? She goes and gets the book, Learning How to Learn. Learning How to Learn is a book that it was written and is for children in Scientology to learn the basics of how to study or how to learn. It is one of the first courses that a young child will do in Scientology. And I'm not sure how that's supposed to help them with autism. I mean, I think, tips and tools for studying and all that. Okay. But really, that's like, think about this. You are a Scientologist. You have a child who you find out has autism, even if they are able to be diagnosed. And Scientology doesn't believe in that. What do? Scientology is just going to hand you Learning How to Learn, that book for your kid. And that's supposed to be it. Not any other help or care or anything. It just shows you that mindset. And the same Scientologist then lets her know how she got into Scientology, and a claim that her mother made that she is now continuing to perpetuate and use as a success story, and to try and inspire people to get into Scientology. Listen to what she says.
My mom introduced me to this because she used to have a lot of migraine headaches.
Okay.
And she was always reading up on what, because it's not something physical, like it's not physically wrong. So she came across this, never had them again.
Wow.
And
Okay.
I was like, oh my gosh, this is so miraculous.
Oh, that's
I read
the
it.
stress and things, putting the pressure on
and
the brain.
bad experiences from your
The
past that
reactive
kick
mind.
in.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Super interesting.
Yeah, Dianetics cures headaches. Did you guys hear? Migraines even. Take my money. No, you already took my money and the money from 3 generations of my family. We're done with that. Can you believe it though? Can you believe it? Right? Yeah, so silly. So silly. Go check out. You can see the video in full. I've got links down below to that and each article and video that we are going over, so you can go check them out and watch them all of the way through there. All right, now let's take a look at we're going to look at another clip. This is from Juanita we see out in Chicago.
I cannot see the other building over there. Hello, thank you.
So that's a Scientologist who hands out promotional items. We've seen her out front in Chicago. I don't know if she doesn't recognize Juanita or she's just trying to recruit her.
Love your hat. I bet you do. I bet you do. Nice. Yeah. You know that you're in the car, right?
And then Juanita, did you hear that? First off, who was there? What hat is Juanita wearing? Because I don't see it in the video. Is it the squirrel hat? Tell me it's the squirrel hat. Somebody got to tell me what hat Juanita was wearing. This is hilarious. And then Juanita tells her, you know you're in a cult, right? Let's see what happens after she said that.
What's that? You know that it's a cult.
Oh, no, it's not.
No, why? Tell me why.
Because
Convince me.
So
Tell me why it's not a cult. Convince me. Tell me why it's not a cult. I'd like to hear.
a cult, what the definition of a cult is a closed group. It's not a closed group. Anyone.
Can you guys watch anything you want? Can you think for yourself? Can you choose when to leave the cult? Really?
Can you watch anything you want? Can you choose for yourself? Jamie, this is in Chicago. And the Scientologist is saying, yes. Bitch, please. No, we know this is not true. We have known this for a long time. We have known this going back decades, okay? Back in my day, gather around for back in my day. Back in my day, I can remember when Scientology was banning books. Like you couldn't read The Secret. There was some other book making the rounds. I think it had something to do with aliens. I don't remember. You couldn't read that. I mean, these people left and right don't want you looking at things where you might find other solutions. So no, you can't read anything you like or you want. You can't read anything that isn't not in agreement with Scientology, anything that questions Scientology. So no, this lady, I don't know what she's talking about. 35 years. I was in Scientology for 35 years and left with 3 generations of my family. Took me 2 years. I had a 2-year plan. Anyways, go Juanita out in Chicago. Okay, let's get over to a little bit of Tom Cruise news, because did you guys know that he disconnected from a billionaire? Let me set the stage here a little bit. Okay, so back in the before time, Tom Cruise, when he married Katie Holmes, he was hanging out with Australian billionaire James Packer. Do you guys remember that? They were hanging out. In fact, were they on his boat? They were on somebody. I think we got a picture of it. Was it from their honeymoon? Like, wasn't he on the boat with them on their honeymoon with Katie Holmes and Tom Cruise? So they must have been really good friends, enough for him to show up and join them on the honeymoon. I think Tommy Davis did too. Back then, he was the spokesperson for Scientology, a Sea Org member whose basically main job was to just show up and deny. No, that didn't happen. That never happened. That was pretty much his job. So anywho, James Packer, Tom Cruise, they're buds, they're friends. But wait a minute. Let's scroll down to what I found to be the interesting part of this article. James Packer says, Scientology helped me for a period of time. Scientology helped me deal with my mental health issues, Packer said. I am no longer a member of the Church of Scientology. I was good friends with Tom Cruise. It's Tom's choice, not mine, that we're not friends anymore. Yeah, Tom Cruise disconnected from him because he's no longer a Scientologist. And he publicly declared he's no longer a Scientologist. I mean, these are suppressive acts of the highest degree in Scientology. In fact, we got to wake Osa up for this one. David Miscavige, wake up your Office of Special Affairs. It's like 3 magic knocks and the Office of Special Affairs wakes up. Okay. So Office of Special Affairs, pay very close attention to this because I'm going to tell you what's happening. You see, what happened was your boy Tom Cruise was really good friends with James Packer, who's a millionaire. And I think he even dated Mariah Carey for a hot minute. But guess what? He didn't fall for it. No. He wasn't having it. And as a result of him leaving Scientology, what happened? Tom Cruise cut ties with him. Yes, he did. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. He goes, let's see, he wouldn't delve into why the pair weren't friends anymore after Cruise attended Packer's wedding to Erica while he attended the Hollywood star's nuptials to actress Katie Holmes. I'll never say a bad word about him. He was a wonderful friend to me. He's an amazing person, Mr. Packer said. However, it's another Hollywood A-lister who offered Mr. Packer an extraordinary helping hand during his mental health battles. Actor Warren Beatty opened his guest house for the Australian to live in for 2 to 3 years at Packer's lowest point. He really opens up and talks about, when he talks about this lowest point, and this is like what I want the Office of Special Affairs to pay attention to. Warren Beatty opened up his home to him when he was having, James Packer talks about having bipolar and being in a manic state for like a year. And that is when he joined Scientology. So Office of Special Affairs, you slacking because you let somebody join Scientology who was bipolar and in the middle of a manic episode. So what does this mean then? Well, I mean, he is not a Scientologist anymore, as he said. And one, I just love that he said it. I am no longer a Scientologist. Somehow Tom Cruise is no longer my friend. I don't know what happened. We know why he's no longer. We know why he's no longer his friend. And yeah, I was just shocked that he said it, that he just like came out and like, yeah, one time I did this, but now I didn't. It just still surprises me. I love it. I love that he's just being very clear about it. There's no question. And if the guy feels that he did get something out of Scientology, that's fine. But he left for a reason too. So it couldn't have been all unicorns and rainbows. You know what I'm saying? Nope, nope, nope. Okay, where are we at now? Let's jump over and talk about, okay. I'm going to get real with you guys about the whole Emily Armstrong thing, okay? So where are we at? Everybody here? Are we focused? Okay. So first off, let's share a little bit of the news part of this. I'm going to share my thoughts. Emily Armstrong unfollows Danny Masterson among massive backlash. So if you guys don't know, for anybody, we'll catch you up real quick. Emily Armstrong is the co-vocalist now for Linkin Park. They announced it. They had this whole everything show coming up. They dropped a new single. And then the internet just had a field day once they found out that she was a Scientologist. And there's been a lot of pushback from that, including questions around how much, if at all, did she support Danny Masterson. So it's very telling. I think now it's a step in the right direction, where she unfollowed Danny Masterson on Instagram amid growing controversy over her past connection to the convicted actor. So there's backlash. She unfollows him. That's probably a step in the right direction. Here are my thoughts about it with Emily Armstrong, Linkin Park, and the whole connection to Scientology. We know that she was born into the Sea Org. Her parents are Sea Org members. I think there's been a question as to whether or not her dad is alive, which is a bummer because I knew her dad in the Sea Org. And her mom, I believe, might still be working for the Office of Special Affairs. She at least did at one point. Here's the thing, though. I don't fault the girl. I actually support her. I think this opportunity she has with the band, this has been, I don't know the girl. I'm not even a huge fan of the band. I think one or two of their songs, but this is an incredible opportunity and something that she no doubt worked hard on. Is she like drawing a line like, no, I'm not a Scientologist. No, I don't support it. No, she's not, but she's not exactly out there recruiting people into Scientology either. So my point of view on this is, when I look at this, the feelings I have about it is I see a girl who grew up with nothing in the Sea Org, not having her parents right there, growing up in the cadet org. We've heard about the neglect and the abuses. And some of the kids who grew up with her and were there have been speaking out and chiming in about their experience, and that it was a shared experience with Emily. And they would hope that she would step forward and talk about this and share about it as well. We don't know for sure where she is today in regard to Scientology. But I'm looking at it like this, at least today, right now, this is where I'm at on it. This is a girl who grew up in the Sea Org, and look what she's doing today. Not because of Scientology, in spite of Scientology. There's nothing I've yet seen about her, and I could be wrong. there's things that she's done, like supporting Danny Masterson in the beginning, but she says she went, one time to the trial and then she quickly realized I should not be supporting this person, and she didn't. Scientology has done a lot of horrendous acts, right? But Emily herself, being born into Scientology and connected to Scientology isn't a 100% you are a Scientologist and you are contributing to these abuses. It could very well be also that she's, quiet quitting Scientology, but she's close to her mom, who is a Sea Org member and wants to maintain that connection. Maybe she has hopes of getting her mom out, or her dad, if he is still alive. I don't know. But I'm gonna come out and say I don't see this girl recruiting for Scientology. I don't think that is the angle. I don't think that is the thing. I'm gonna jump in the comments and see more of what you guys are thinking. Bina, shouldn't she have unfollowed him a year ago? Yeah, probably. But you know what? Even I'm following people, I have no idea. I don't go back and look at everybody that I followed, but that is a big one. That is a big one. So I get what you're saying there. I get what you're saying. She unfollowed his public account. So Mike, are you saying she still follows him on a different account, or just that was just a public one? Let me know. Oh, I see what you're saying. Doesn't mean she still doesn't support him, but it doesn't mean that she does. So with the internet, the way these things go, there's so much information that comes out. Some is true, some is not. There's a lot to sort through. People have different feelings about it. I am just saying that if we look at this, there's another way to see it as well. Born into the Sea Org, had a passion to do music. This is a huge opportunity for her. What if she's trying to turn it around? What if she has pulled away from Scientology? Then and we don't know for sure. I'm just saying I'm still willing to rah, because also the other thing is when Scientologists do things that are prominent like this, or like Rebecca Minkoff on the Real Housewives of New York, what does it do? It doesn't help Scientology. It brings up all of the truth about Scientology, all of the things that make Scientology a cult. It exposes the stories of the many who have left Scientology, especially the children that Scientology failed and who are now adults, and a bunch of them, like myself, here on the internet, letting you know about Scientology. So that's kind of my thought about it. I think we need to let it play out. I don't think that the woman should be canceled or even the band over this, because again, we don't know. And so she made a mistake. She made a mistake. I've made a lot of mistakes coming out of Scientology. I've had a lot of healing to go through and letting go a lot of that cult mentality. And for me, part of letting go of the cult mentality of Scientology is doing my best to let go of black and white thinking. And this is not a black and white situation. There's a lot of gray, some beige, some nuances here, and we don't actually have all of the facts. So my hope is that through this experience, maybe even she, I would love to see her say she's no longer in Scientology. But I also know that coming from a Scientology background, growing up and having family, let alone parents in the Sea Org, and if you're close to them especially, that is tough. Because once you cross that line to saying publicly, I'm no longer a Scientologist, that is a suppressive act. And she hasn't done that yet. So I don't know. Lydia, yeah, she's still an opinion leader in that role. Yeah, she is, but let's see what she does. So far, all she's done is join this band and make music. I've not seen her do anything. You guys point me in the wrong direction. Paralyzed to paralyzed. Why are you playing supportive devil's advocate? Because I really feel that way. I look at her and I see a little girl from the cadet org living her dream. I do. I do. That's what I see. And that is something I'm happy for her. Anybody who made it out of there, and whether they've denounced Scientology and left or not, but managed to have some success is a good thing. Here's the other reason why I think, and I feel this way, is I think that if she is thinking about or has pulled away from Scientology, she's going to need friends in that area. And if we're all running around attacking her for this, then where's the support if she's actually leaving? So I'm willing to hold space for her. And in that, that is a possibility as well, because we don't know where she's at with it. That's my thought. I'm willing to give it some time. I'm not canceling the girl, That's just how I feel about it. I just look and I just see this little girl in the cadet org. I do. You could be right, Happy Healing Train, but Emily is still friends with the crew around Masterson. They don't believe he's guilty. I think you're being too nice, Nat. Could very well be. Could be. It could be. It could totally be. I'm just saying. Let's see. Finding me to do a live chat. I'm so glad, LVP. I'm glad you're here. That's fantastic. Still, Princess, 100% disagree. She can't fill the shoes of Chester. He was a victim of child SA. He advocated for child abuse in SA. His lyrics scream his tragedy. He's a cult SA. She is a cult SA supporter. But maybe she could not be. I'm just saying. It's a difficult situation when you have family members like your parents or your siblings who are in the Sea Org, because you can leave Scientology as long as you don't tell anybody, and you can maintain those relationships. And at a certain point in life, for some of us, we valued being able to expose Scientology and get away from it and really have a break from it more than risking losing those relationships. And it's easy for me to sit here and, talk about it in ways because I left with the majority of my family, with 3 generations of my family. And it took a lot of work. It took 2 years to make that happen, that I had to kind of go along and make like I was still being a Scientologist. So it can be very difficult. It's just not so black and white is what I'm saying. Why would she leave? For the same reasons we all left. The girl knows. She grew up in the cadet org. She was there. There's just, Evil Blue Eye, you're conflicted. Me too. But I always try to take a step back and, let's just not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let's let this, you guys do you do you all day. Just do whatever. But I don't know. I'm not totally hating on the girl and would like to see her leave and be here for her when she does. And at least let her know that, hey, we know it's complicated. It is, there are reasons why experts say that recovering from Scientology is one of the toughest things to do. It's one of the toughest cults to recover from. That is for many, many, many reasons. And sometimes it's 3 steps forward, 2 steps back kind of a thing. You leave in your heart, but you don't leave physically. You leave physically, but you still believe L. Ron Hubbard is good. Then you don't believe, it can happen in layers is what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Let's see. Rachel, she can have all the success she works for representing a band that doesn't stand up for mental health. Yeah, they kind of got to have a choice there too, because it is true that Scientology does not support and advocate for people when it comes to mental health. They don't acknowledge it, depression or ADHD or any of those things. It's purely that you need more Scientology. You need more Scientology auditing. And you can't even go see a psychiatrist or a therapist and take psychiatric drugs and receive Scientology auditing. You can't. If you take psychiatric drugs, you then are what's called an illegal pre-clear. You are not allowed to get auditing in Scientology. So they're never going to be helping people with mental health issues. They don't have the tools to actually do it. And that's a huge problem in Scientology, and part of the problem with it and why it's a human trafficking cult. All of those things. But it can all be, it can all be true at the same time. Rage Against Mental Health. Yeah, I like that. Okay. LVP says, yep, Aaron has been really hard on Emily, but even he has said over and over that Emily is also a victim from decades of mental abuse. But I'm still trying to figure out how LP is fine with all this. Yeah, and maybe that's the missing piece too. It's not just Emily that we want to hear from about this, but the band. Where do they stand on it? How do they reconcile this conflicting information? Did they know? Did they not know? Did they know to what extent? Were they safe pointed? Were they given information about Scientology to make it seem really benign? Were they shown all of the work that Scientology does with the Youth for Human Rights and all of those things? And then they believe that that is the truth. I don't know. Candy's Life says, I said what I said and I stand tall on it. I hope she leaves and has an amazing life. I have no room to judge her. Muds, use your brain, Natalie. You'll end up in a cult if you don't. Well, I got you guys to watch out for me. Make sure I don't end up back in a cult. Jane Squirrel says, I would like to talk to Andy Cohen on Rebecca Minkoff. Yeah, exactly. That's going to be coming out soon too. Real Housewives of New York. And I cannot wait for that. That's one that I'm going to be watching along with, I was watching, have you guys been following along? Anyone watching the, oh my gosh, I just went blank on the name. The Mormon Wives one on Hulu. What is it called? Oh No Nora just did a whole recap for it about this show. They dropped like all the episodes at one time. And there's these women in the Mormon community that did this mom talk on TikTok. And turns out they were doing soft swinging and other things. It's kind of fascinating because the Mormon church, though different from Scientology, there are a lot of similarities. And it's interesting seeing how it plays out. But I think it's kind of entertaining. And Nora did a whole breakdown on it if you want to follow along. I think I'm on episode 3, but I'm kind of just starting to really get into it. Let's see. That's a question for Nancy. All right. Okay, that's what I got for you guys. If you could hit like and subscribe, that would be fabulous. I'm going to go back and catch up on all your comments because they all just go moving by so fast. In the meantime, everybody, I hope you have an amazing cult-free day.